guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jag, and in today's class we're going to continue with our grade 10 math content. And again, this is solving quadratic equations part 2. So what I want to cover in today's class is how to solve the quadratic equations when you're given a complex trinomial. Okay, so again, this is not just like the simple trinomial method. Okay, we do have to make sure we are showing our work, and that's why if you're not sure how to do that, make sure you do view the video on solving quadratic equations part 1, and we covered how to do the simple trinomials using the decomposition method. Okay, so the method for complex trinomials is very similar. So with that, let's get started. Let's try this example here from the textbook. Okay, so it is 3x squared plus 28x plus 9. Okay, and it's equal to 0. Alright, so one more time, if you see a number that is in front of the x squared, okay, I have to make sure I am multiplying it. So the product here is going to be 3 times 9, so it's 27. Okay, and what we're multiplying is this number in front with the last number, okay, within the trinomial. And the sum, when you add the two numbers, is still always the middle number, which is equal to 28. So I always like to make a line here to keep everything clear, to show the teacher as well what my two factors are. So here I'm going to do the product of 27. So 27 times 1 is 27. And I see that when I add them, 27 plus 1 is equal to 28. Okay, so these are my two factors. Again, I don't see any negative signs within my equation here. So both of the factors will be positive. Okay. We have to show our work here to do the decomposition method. The other method is the guessing and checking method. I really wouldn't do that because on a quiz or test, it will take you much longer to come up with the answer. Okay, so again, we're going to keep the first term the same. Okay, and we are decomposing the 28x into our two factors. So we're using 27x plus 1x, and the 9 stays the same, equals 0. So the first term and the last terms always remain the same, and I'm just decomposing that middle term. Okay, and in this step, make sure you have 4 factors. Okay, I'm going to group them together and take out a common factor here for the first two terms. So I see I have 3x squared plus 27x. I can take out the 3 as well as the x. Okay, then you open up the brackets here, check what is left over. I have 3x squared, 1x is still left. Okay, and here when you take the 3 out, I have to do the 27, so positive 27 divided by positive 3, which is equal to positive 9. And I notice the x is gone because I took it outside the brackets. Okay, so let's go to the next two terms here. It's 1x plus 9, okay? So here I notice there are no common factors. Again, don't put 0. I have to take out the 1. So I'm going to put 1, and it doesn't change anything. I'm still left with x plus 9 equals to 0, okay? And now I'm going to just write out my two factors. Whatever is on the outside here, which is 3x plus 1. This is one of your factors. And then whatever is inside the brackets is a common factor. So I have x plus 9, okay, equals to 0. The question just says to solve, okay? So when the question says to solve, I actually have to solve for the x-intercepts. I can't leave my answer like this. The teacher will take off marks, okay? So we're making the whole thing equal to 0. Okay, so I'm going to write it here. So 3x plus 1 equals to 0. Again, I don't need to show my work for this, okay? After you get really good at it, you could just see what the x-intercepts are visually by looking at it or doing some mental math. We're going to take the 1 over to the other side, so 3x equals negative 1. And then when you divide it by 3, okay, on both sides, this 3 cancels out, okay? So x is equal to negative 1 over 3. Okay? And that's one of my x-intercepts. My second one, I'm going to make x plus 9 equal to 0. I see that the 9 is positive on the left side. You're taking it to the right side and change the sign. So x is equal to negative 9. Alright, does everyone see that? So I can see that I still have two x-intercepts here. The only difference is I'm doing the complex trinomial factoring. Okay, make sure in the first step you are multiplying that first number in front of the x squared, and you multiply it by the last number within the quadratic equation. And that is what the product is, okay? So it's not just the last number, which is 9 in this case, okay? I won't be able to find out what the two factors are, okay? So with that, let's try one more example here, okay? So I'm going to take off just one side here. So let's take this side off. Okay, I'm going to leave the product sum. Okay, and again, make sure you're always doing the questions in this manner, okay? I always write out the product and sum. That way I know what the factors are that I'm looking for, okay? So let's try this one. So this is 4k squared plus 19k, okay, plus 15 equals 0. So again, the first step here, I'm going to write out the product and sum. The product is going to be 4 times 15, okay, which is equal to 60. There are no negative signs again here, okay, so I know my factors will be positive. And the sum is equal to 19. Now if you see here, 16 actually has a lot of factors. I could just use my calculator, okay, and I'm looking for some factors of 60, okay, so I'm going to do 15 times 4, which is equal to 60, okay? And the reason I'm choosing these factors is I know when I add them together, it is going to equal to 19. All right, and again, both of the factors are positive in this case. We're going to do the decomposition method just to break it down. So keep the first term the same here. So 4k squared, we are decomposing the 19k into the two factors. So it's going to be plus 15k plus 4k, and the last term stays the same, okay? So 15 and the 4k squared, I just kept that the same here, okay? This is my intermediate step. I should make sure I have 4 terms so I can do the group factoring, okay? So I'm going to make a line here. Again, you notice even when I'm making the lines, I'm taking the signs that are in front of the numbers. So let's take out a common factor for the first two terms. So this is 4k squared, 15k squared. So we can take out the k here, okay? So it looks like between 4 and 15, there are no common factors, so don't worry about that. I'm left with 4k plus 15, okay? And again, even when you have the two factors like 15 and 4, it does not matter in which order you put them. So here I put 15k plus 4k. I can also put 4k plus 15k. And the reason it doesn't make a difference is because we're going to group factor it, and it's still going to give us two factors that satisfy this quadratic equation. Okay, let's take out a common factor here. Again, I have 4k plus 15. There's no common factor. That does not mean it's 0. Okay, what it means is that it's equal to 1. We're taking out 1 here. And it won't make a difference for this. So I'm going to put 4k plus 15 equals 0. So you can see I didn't really change anything in terms of the signs or the numbers here. Okay, my two factors are what's on the outside. I have k plus 1. Okay, so this is one factor. And the second factor is the common factor within the brackets, which is 4k plus 15. Okay, and the whole thing is equal to 0 here. All right. So what we're going to do here is do k plus 1 equals 0. And when you take the 1 to the other side, k is equal to negative 1. Okay? Do the same thing with the second brackets here. Okay, we're going to do 4k plus 15 equals 0. Okay, the 15 is positive on the left side. When you take it to the right side, make sure you change the signs. So 15 is going to be negative. Okay, and then divide by 4 on both sides here. Okay, and so k, I'm going to write it here. K is equal to negative 15 over 4. Okay, even if you're solving for the variables, one more time, if there is a fraction, later on you're going to have to graph out the quadratic equations and functions. So what you want to do is just use the decimal, okay, whenever you get a fraction. Are there any questions so far? Okay, good. So I want to actually pick one last question here, okay. This is a difference of squares, okay, so let's take this out. And again, even if you have a difference of squares, okay, make sure you're just doing the question in the same manner that we're doing it right now. So let's try this one. So it says 16b squared minus 1 equals 0. Okay, so how you know this is a difference of squares? Again, I have two terms, okay? And there has to be a minus sign in between, okay? There can't be a plus sign here because it's a difference of squares. The word difference means that you are subtracting the two numbers, okay? Make sure when you take the square roots of both the numbers, so let's try it on the side here. If I take the square root of 16b squared, the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of b squared is just b, okay? If you look at the second term, I can take the square root of 1, which is still equal to 1, okay? When you take the square root of both of the terms, okay, it has to give you a whole number, okay? And so, when you write out your factors here, it's going to be 4b plus 1, okay, within one of the brackets. And in the second brackets, it's going to be minus, so it's going to be 4b minus 1, okay? The whole thing is equal to 0. And the reason it's positive in one bracket and negative in the second bracket is if you were to expand this out by foiling, you'll notice that the middle term cancels out because it's positive and negative, okay? So these are my two factors. For the difference of squares, I don't need to show my work here because I already know what the factors are right away, okay? So we're going to make this equal to 0, so let's do 4b plus 1 equals 0. So take the 1 to the other side, and it's going to equal negative 1, okay? And I'm going to divide it by 4 on both sides. Again, so the 4 cancels out, okay? So the b is equal to negative 1 over 4. Okay, make sure you box your answers at the end, okay? And the teacher should clearly be able to see what your final answer is. Okay, so b is negative 1 over 4. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. Okay, and again, in this case, for the difference of squares, the answer is not the same. If you look closely, the terms are the same, but the sign is different here, okay? So in the second case, the 1 is negative. When you take it to the other side, it becomes positive 1, okay? And again, I'm going to divide it here by 4 on both sides, so the 4 cancels out. Okay, and the b is equal to 1 over 4. Okay, so I noticed that I'm getting 1 over 4 in both cases, but in one case here it is negative, in the second case it is positive, okay? So again, I do have two different intercepts here. Don't worry if the variable is different and it's not x, this is a b here, that does not matter, okay? Whenever you're factoring out the quadratic equation and you make it equal to 0, whatever you're solving for is actually the x-intercepts of the parabola, all right? So that brings this video to an end. I hope everyone found this content very helpful. And again, this is very, very important in this section of the quadratics unit. Make sure you are practicing all of your factoring methods, and as well as after you factor it, make sure you are solving for the x-intercepts. As you move on in the content within this unit, you should be able to find the x-intercepts, again, find the vertex, and you should be able to graph out the parabola. All right? So thank you for watching. Please make sure you press on the like button below and you subscribe to the channel. And it's going to make a really big difference, not just to me, but all the other students who are taking grade 10 math. So thanks for watching one more time, and I will see everyone next time. Thanks. Bye.